anything. I'm just plain Bill. You can pass some of these things. We're going to talk about this. You kind of bounce them around. Don't keep them too long now. I want your ears, your interest. You know, the first class I was in, they had 1 hour on personality types. They call it personality types. That 1 hour paid for the rest of my classes for 2 or 3 years. That 1 hour I was able, and I got just one personality that I couldn't deal with. It was the Aussie's personality. You know, I was in the insurance business at the time. What are you doing back there, Mary Ann? Don't punch the neighbors. I mean, I keep calling Anne Marie, I keep calling her Mary Ann. But that 1 hour, just getting that one, working with that one personality, that particular individual, was worth, I don't know how much. So Mike has asked me about this new book that you put out and said, how much is it? Well, if it's less than $100, it's cheap, see. But before we go into personality types, I really don't want to talk so much about personality types, because this weekend we're going to start out and unravel a lot of consciousness and then put it back together. Psychiatric Principles is a class that my late wife always wanted to teach, because she said it's the only class, Bill, where they've got psychotherapy and psychoanalysis all in one class. That really the emphasis is there. Really there, other than concept therapy class. And she always wanted to teach this class. Well, I was so fascinated with Dr. Luke Burr over the years that I didn't much care, but it's been a joy back some last month or November to present this material. And the reason I'm saying that is we did take a lot of, and we're going to do it this weekend. We're going to take and unravel a lot of consciousness. You know, you're more than a body. You're more than a mind. You're more than a bunch of emotions. You're more than this awareness, this self-awareness, and this choice that we call the soul. You're so much more than that, and yet you're all that at the same time. Let's see if we can deal with that. Would you work with me just a minute? What is your name? John. John, would you come on up, John? I'll put you on the spot. Oh, that's a terrible thing, sitting on the front row. Catherine, that's why he had you up here. No, I won't pick on you, honey. Much. Anyway, we say, what is John? If John's representing each one of us now, we could start, and I could make some statement like a priest or a minister or a rabbi, and I say, John really is spirit. Really? He's made of spirit. Or if I was a scientist, I say, he's made of energy. I could say all kinds of high-sounding, etheric type ideas, theological or deductive ideas starting of what he is. And I defy any of you to prove me wrong. Or I could start and I say, well, John, you look like a healthy, fantastic body you got there. Big arms, man, I wouldn't want to wrestle with this guy, you know. And good-looking guy. Big, handsome guy, probably got a lot of talent. I could start either way. I could start with what I see. And most of the time, that's all people do start with, what they see. They look and they say, here's a body. I say, here's a guy that's got about 3 personality types there that sometimes are warring with each other. He's got a creative type. I can see it right up there. Tremendous creativity, sensitivity. He's also got some push. He wants to push. And there's a part right there. Then there's a part where he'd like to kind of charm and talk and relate and all that. And all 3 of those have been at war with each other, sometimes in the past. Right? Yeah. I'm just going a little bit. I'm not going to get real tough. But, see, this is expressing what we see. This is the crudest form of energy, our body. But we like it, you know. It's just, sometimes we say, oh, I wish it wouldn't do what it's doing, but that's our fault. There's something behind that. It's not our fault. It's our responsibility to make it work however we want to work. You might see me back a few months ago, and I weighed about 40 pounds more. You know, not this year, but last year. Then I went down about 50 pounds and gained about 10 pounds back. So you can mold this thing any way you want to go, and it's molded not by what you put into it necessarily. That has something to do with it, of course. But there's more to it. Now, God, I'm going to have you back up again in a minute, but you just sit down for just a second here, because he's going to represent us tonight of what we are. We can start either way. We can say there is the infinite. And you can take all kinds of religions to start with that idea. And there's much scripture in the Hindu, the Buddhist, the Christian, the Jewish, or any of them to start with that one idea. That's a big idea. And we're going to come to that a lot before the weekend's over. But we can also start with what we see, what we touch, what we hear. All of that. That's the other end of the spectrum. Now, let's look internally just a minute. We say, what really, how do we operate? How many of you have never had a concept therapy class? Everybody's had a concept therapy? Oh, terrific! That's easy to talk to people like that. So look at that. Cerebral's trying to crowd everything. Trying to get the act. Must be a cerebral with a high herd urge expression, which is unusual. Yeah, both of them. We say, what are you? We say, you, in the concept therapy class, we said you're a soul. What does that mean? You're a soul. Someone says, well, you're a chooser. That's true. What else? Being a soul, what are you? You are aware. You are aware. You're aware, you have awareness, and you have volition, the ability to choose. You can be a thinker apart from all the thoughts that come up from the mind, which we'll talk about in just a minute. We're going to spend a lot of time on the mind, because I learned a lot about the mind this past year. After my wife died, boy, I learned a lot about the mind. I thought, you know, I really had to going just exactly where I wanted to go. And I found out I wasn't near as evolved as I thought I was. Anyway, what is the soul? This soul, what do we say? That's what you are, essentially. That's your job here, with this body, is to choose, to select, to be aware. You've got to be aware to properly select. You've got to know what's going on. That's why we're dealing with this. This is for awareness. This is to see, when I meet John, I'm not just meeting a fine-looking young body right there that may have a lot of talent. There's more that I'm meeting. There's a soul in there. And there's a mind. What's the mind? Well, how many of you have a computer? Come on, there's more than that. Yeah. You got software in the computer. We got software. Now we call it synapses, and we got a lot of fancy ideas, neurons, and all the different areas that the brain scientists would tell us that makes up the brain, because the mind, as you learn in concept therapy, is the activity, the abnormal activity of the brain cells. It's the brain cells in action, functioning. They're always in action, but they're functioning a little bit more than awareness. And we all have some software. Sometimes it's a little different, but it operates in a very definite way. It's easy to learn it. In fact, you've got the most succinct explanation of how the mind works in any concept therapy text that exists. I mean, you get that one little page and a half, or 2 or 3 pages in the text, double spaced, gives you information that would fill this room up of all in the colleges and the universities, and it'd be succinct and accurate that no one can dispute. But we don't study that enough. We really need to understand what it does and what it doesn't do, and how it can mess us up or how it can assist us. The mind is a wonderful servant, but it's a terrible master. And it's not a good advisor. And people use it all the time to get advice. And it only goes with the past.